Hello Sonic State, my name is Konstantin and it's big pleasure to be here. I'm a fan of Sonic State since the beginning. I'm listening to the podcast since podcast number 1. Actually, my adventure with Eurorack started after watching Scott Jagger Harvestman showing the Time Safari, which was very good, exciting, and here I am at DanceFair Utrecht 2015 showing you tip-top audio station 252, and the patch that you've heard now is basically sort of more or less the patch that I'm using playing live and in the studio. It has 2 synth lines, 1 oscillator each, controlled by 1 envelope, going through 1 filter, 1 VCA. They are both controlled by the same pitches running through the quantizer, and that's what I didn't do in this jam. I was not changing the actual pitches that I would normally do during the jamming. So the patch is quite simple. The circadian rhythm is driving the drums, but not all of them. The rim shot, clap, and the snare are driven by the trigger right. Then one synth is running from the trigger right, triggered by the trigger right, the envelope, and that opens the VCA and the filter. And the other synth is controlled by the circadian rhythm for the more straight-on things, and the triplets are running from the trigger right. It's all mixed together, other than the bass drum that is going dry into the mixer. The drums and the synths going through the ZDSP with Valhalla, also Valhalla reverb card. And that's basically it. It's quite simple, but it's very cool to play with. I enjoy every time I'm playing it. I'm enjoying so much that I can't stop actually. If I hadn't the time restriction, I would just continue. Unfortunately, sometimes I have to eat, so inevitably I'll stop at some point. But
so, is there any particular bits that kind of you always go back to in a patch? Like any?
Yes, it's not apparent. Maybe it was not so apparent in this example, but I always go for the deep, nice deep, low end and the bass with the Z 2040 when it's almost closed and opened with the envelope is just has the right amount of low end and the right punch that I need. The punch of the Z 3000 going through it is just unbelievable. I really love it, and I have to say that I compare it to other things and I always end up using Z2040 again and again and again. And I also save some space because it has a built-in VCA, so I don't have to use an external VCA or other VCA. What else?
So you're just using the 2 Z3000s for the oscillators on each different set?
Yes. In the studio it's a bit different. I usually would run each voice with 2 envelopes, one for the VCA and one for the filter. But for traveling purposes, I have to use 1 envelope for both VCAs and the filter, which is a bit limiting, but it's quite okay. It's totally fine, especially in club environment where you don't really have time to fine-tune all those parameters. Then you just open it up, close it down, and that's it. You have really immediately solid sounds that actually blows you away every time. Every time I hear it through a PA, I am shocked, literally shocked, because you cannot even start to comprehend how beautiful it sounds through the PA when you're every day sitting in the studio with studio monitors. It still sounds nice, but it's really not a match for a full-on PA system for a modular synth. Nothing actually compares to the modulars played by a good full-range PA system. And Tip Top is, for me, it's number one in this. Just best bass, tightest rhythm, and the bass drum modules. Also, I have to say about the drum modules that you don't really want, I mean, there are many ways to do drum sounds. But in a live environment, you don't really want to start fiddling with frequencies and pitches and right amounts of envelopes. You just want to open it up and play. That's what the drum modules are for. You just plug the triggers and that's it. They are immediately available and the sounds familiar, and you can actually, by running them through the Mix Z, you can really crank the headroom, and when you're also going with the bass through it, you can create something that is quite similar to what people used in the past, the old Mackeys, CR1604, where you drive the inputs and the headroom actually collapses upon itself, creating this shocking effects. When the bass comes in, the heads actually kind of, it's not a really side-chaining effect, it's kind of distorted headrooms collapse side of kind of thing, which I like a lot.
With the quantizer,
yeah.
When is that actually out already?
No, this one is a prototype. The final version will be quite different. It should be ready for Music Mess. And I certainly hope so, because I really, really need another quantizer.
Okay.
Not another instead of this additional quantizer. I really would like to have two totally different lines running at the same time and not controlled by the same set of pitches, basically. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sonic State, and always a pleasure watching Sonic State, and being on Sonic State is an even bigger pleasure. Thank you.